Hey guys, for this lesson we're going to be using the Pythagorean Theorem, and we're going to use it to solve for the hypotenuse. So the hypotenuse is the longest side of a right triangle. And in this lesson, we're going to be focusing on these two standards in blue, explain a proof of the Pythagorean Theorem and its converse, and then also apply the Pythagorean Theorem to determine unknown side lengths in right triangles in real world and mathematical problems in 2 and 3 dimensions. So this is the Pythagorean Theorem. You should definitely be familiar with this. Sorry, the dog is getting in the way. Because you've done those beautiful colored notes. And the Pythagorean Theorem states that a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Now a and b are the side lengths of a right triangle, which we call the legs. And then c is the long side, and that's the hypotenuse. So one of the helpful hints that I like to use, in a right triangle you always get the box. Okay, that shows us that it's a 90-degree triangle, right triangle, but the box is always going to point to C. Okay, sometimes the picture is going to be deceiving and you can't really tell what side is the longest, so use the box to help you. It will point to C. Okay, let's get started. So in this triangle, we already know that we have to have C. Sometimes it's labeled and it's nice for us. Most of the time it's not. So we have a squared plus b squared equals c squared. First thing you need to do is to decide which side is going to be A and which side is going to be B. It does not matter. Just pick one and stick with it. So we'll call that side A and this side B. So we're going to fill in our letters. We're going to plug them in. So instead of A, we've got 7 squared. Keep the plus sign. 5 squared equals C squared. Whoops. So we're going to keep C because that's our unknown. Okay, 7 squared is 7 times itself, which is 49. And then 5 squared is 5 times 5, which is 25. I'm telling you, if you memorize 1 to 12 with your perfect squares, this is going to be so much easier because you don't have to pick up a calculator or slow down to think about it. Okay, once you're at this step, you're just going to add 49 plus 25, which is 74. Okay, that's not your answer. That is what c squared equals. Okay, that's whatever side length c is times itself. So in order to do that, we need to get c all by itself over here. So the opposite of c squared, to get c, because we want to find c, in order to do that, we have to use the square root. So here's where your calculator comes in. You're going to have to find the square root of 74. You don't need to know that off the top of your head. You can approximate it because you should know which numbers fall around on the opposite sides of that 74. So you can get an idea of what your answer should be. But just use a calculator because you're allowed to. So when you punch it in the calculator, and not your phone, put your phones away, get an actual calculator, please, you will see that the answer is 8.602, and it just goes on. I like to round it to the nearest hundredth, which is 2 decimal places, so we're going to call this 8.60. Okay, now, that is our answer, so we're good to go, but I always like to do a check. Since C is our longest side, just make sure it's your biggest number. So our answer we said is 8.6, and just check your number. Is it bigger than 5? Is it bigger than 7? Yes, it is. So we are good to go. All right, stay tuned for another problem. Okay, this one does not have it labeled that C is our missing side. So again, you use that box. It's going to point you to C. So that's our unknown. Whoops. Okay, so again, pick your A and B. Doesn't matter which one's which, just pick one. So we'll call that A, call this B. I usually keep it in the same order. Again, it doesn't matter. It's totally up to you. So we're going to fill in our numbers. We have 5 squared plus 10 squared equals c squared. Now, if you are a math champion and you already know what 5 squared and 10 squared is, you still need to write this out. It's very important. And that's because when we solve for the leg, which you'll see in the next lesson, it's a little more complicated and you don't want to get your stuff mixed up. So just write out the steps. I know it's a little bit of extra work. You can handle it, I promise. Okay, so 5 squared is 25. 10 squared is 100 equals c squared. Now you're going to add these two guys together. So that's 125 equals c squared. And your last step, you're going to find the square root. So we square root c squared to get c all by itself. And we're going to square root 125. Okay, using a calculator, the square root of 125 is 11.18. Again, just do a quick check. Make sure your other numbers are 10 and 5, so C is our hypotenuse. It works. Again, we are good to go. If you feel like you've got it, please practice on your own. If you need another example, I'll do a couple more, so just keep going. All right, here's another problem. Again, this side, it almost looks confusing. You can't tell which one's the longest, so use the box. It's going to point you to C. Oops. And now we don't have the formula, so again, you have to memorize this. It's not going to be provided for you for the FSA. It's 3 letters. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. And then again, just pick your A and B. I'll switch it up this time. So we have 10 squared plus 9 squared equals C squared. Notice I like to keep everything lined up. That's because when you head to algebra next year, you're going to be doing crazy long equations, and it just makes your life a lot easier if you keep things lined up. Okay, 10 squared is 100. 9 squared is 81 equals C squared. We're going to add 100 plus 81 to get 181 equals C squared. And your final step is going to be square root each of these guys. So again, using the calculator, the square root of 181 is 13.45. Now just be careful, because whatever work you're doing, it may say round to the nearest tenth, round to the nearest hundredth, nearest thousandth, so just do whatever you're expected to do. And then my final check that I like to do, we say the answer is 13.45. We're going to check. Our leg lengths are 9 and 10, so again, C is the longest. Here's another smiley face. We are rocking and rolling with this. Okay, here's another one. It's kind of, the triangle's flipped, so it's a little different. So again, just use your box. It's going to point you to C. Okay, A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Pick an A and a B. It doesn't matter. These numbers are pretty big, so you'll need a calculator for this. So we have 27 squared plus 36 squared equals C squared. Okay, 27 squared. I need my calculator for this one because, well, that's a tough one. All right, it's 729 plus 36 squared, which is 1,296 equals C squared. And then we're going to add these two together, which gives us 2,025 equals C squared. And your last step again, square root these bad boys. So we're going to square root and find that our answer is 45. Okay, and then just a self-check, we're looking for the long side here. 45 is longer than 36 and 27, so we are awesome. That's all we've got for solving or using the Pythagorean theorem to find the missing length of a triangle. In this case, we were looking for the hypotenuse. So there you go. If you need more examples, just watch the video again. But the best way to do it is just to practice. Once you do a couple, you'll be awesome. All right, great job.